If you're a solar installer in the UK and you're looking to find a way to maximize your ad spend from Facebook, Instagram, Google to generate more leads and ultimately more revenue, then this video is for you. For context, my name is Michael Brown. I'm the director of Solar Scale, and we have generated millions in client revenue helping our customers scale and grow their businesses. If you want, there's a couple of video testimonials I'll pin somewhere down in the description or comments, just so you know that I'm actually telling you the truth. Okay, so in this video, we're going to unpack ad spend and how to maximize it when you're using lead flow like Instagram and Facebook. Because whilst Instagram and Facebook are amazing places to generate leads, if you are a local installer, you can have some trouble with lead flow, qualified lead flow. And what I mean by that is a few things. Okay, so if you increase your qualifications, your qualification criteria on your Facebook lead form, for example, or your funnel, or your WhatsApp questions, wherever you're generating through the meta, if you're sending them through to a landing page, WhatsApp, instant forms, it doesn't really matter. If you have qualification questions, the more qualification questions you ask, the smaller your lead flow will be. You can think about that as tightening a pipe and making it narrower and narrower. Obviously, the wider the pipe is, the more leads are going to flow through, and the more picky you are about who comes through, you're going to get less and less. Okay, now if you have a fixed ad spend budget of, say, £50 per day, if you narrow your pipe, reducing your lead flow, ultimately what that will do is increase your cost per lead, right? These are two sides of the same balance. If I have the same budget, but less leads coming through, my cost per lead must go up because I'm only getting one lead per day. At £50 per day, it's a £50 lead. If I'm getting three, it's much less. So that's a problem you're going to face if you have a very small servicing area. And this is the reason this topic is all tied into one. Because something you can do if you're a local installer and you do want to be picky with the qualification criteria, because on Facebook and Instagram you should, because if you're not picky with the qualification criteria from a lead source like that, you're going to get shit through. And you've probably all felt this. If you're watching this video and you've tried a marketing agency before or self-genning leads, just putting some budget through Facebook, if you're the director of the company and just tried your hand at it to see how hard it could be, you've probably found that you've blasted thousands on ads and the only thing you've got back are fake numbers, people who don't pick up, people who do pick up and tell you that, yeah, this is my number and that's my name, but I didn't inquire for anything. And then maybe you'll get a few that you actually do want. And maybe the rest are Eco4 grant seekers, they are on benefits, things like this. Which obviously if you're an Eco4 company and you're watching this, is not an issue for you, but many of you watching this will just be looking for cash buyers, or if you have a finance partner, you'll be looking for someone who has a decent enough credit score to supplement, at least in part or entirely, the price of their system with finance payments and payment plans. So, something you can do if you're a smaller installer, because you don't want to give any headway on the qualification criteria, because you don't want that shit to come through that you've all felt. You can be really picky on the qualification criteria, and you have to ask these questions in a really particular way. And maybe this is another video, it's certainly another video, but if you just ask questions like, are you a homeowner? You're gonna get people coming through who aren't homeowners. Quite counterintuitive, but maybe you've all experienced this. It's something that took us a long time to learn a couple of years ago, that although you ask someone if you're a homeowner, you'll get people coming through who are not. There's small examples like this, a very small attentions to detail, many of these stacking up that actually accumulate an amount of something that is actually a very tangible difference to the lead that comes through, just in how you ask the questions. So you don't want to give any leeway on the questions you're asking and how many, but you also don't want to give leeway on how you're asking them. And sometimes you have to be quite blunt in order to get the answers and the correct truth from the lead coming in, the correct leads coming in. You have to be quite blunt sometimes. You don't want to give any headway on that because you'll just waste money. And whilst you might get more leads coming through if you have no qualification criteria and you just have a lead form that scrapes details, you're also going to get a lot of bots and non-homeowners, people on benefits, people who aren't interested. You're going to get all of that through. Something you can do without compromising any of that is actually ask yourself this question. If I knew that I had won the install and I knew that I had the job, how far would I be willing to travel? Because that's a very different question to the typical idea of your servicing area that you have in your head. The companies we speak to, their servicing area when they come to us is the area in which they're willing to install. But then upon further questioning, it's actually the area that they have been installing and are willing to travel to potentially sell a deal. And it's a very different thing, because how far I'm willing to travel when I know I have the install is much further than how far I'm willing to travel to potentially win an install, because you're going to have a lot of petrol expenses as well as time, right? And that's a very different question. So what you can do is you can ask yourself, apologies, I just propped this up on my dining room table. So I appreciate these videos are kind of freestyle, but hopefully you're finding them valuable. What you can do is actually ask yourself, how far am I willing to travel if I'm gonna get the install? I know I'm on the install. And then increase your servicing area on Meta ads, increase your targeting area on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp to the answer to that question, to how far you would be willing to travel if you'd won the installation. And then what you do is you call the lead up and you service them remotely. Because let's say I'm willing to travel 50 miles from where my office is. Okay, well, anyone who comes through on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, who is within that 50-mile radius, I can just travel to like I normally would. But anyone who's outside of that, what I can do is a phone call to an appointment set, to a video call consultation and design. It's an engineering consultation, is really how you should frame it and how we've seen it work. A bespoke system design in the same way that you design it in person. And then from there, you can get the close. You can close the sale, and then you can travel out, do a final site survey, because everything's conditional on a final site survey. And most of the time that will have been worth your while. So what you've actually done there is, if you keep your budget the same, your ad spend budget the same, you've probably doubled your lead flow, just like that. Your cost per lead has come down. You've not compromised on quality. And you're also starting to spread your business's tentacles across the country where it previously wasn't. You can put the sign up when you're installing, you can get referrals in the neighborhood, and now suddenly your business has just grown really fast from one change, just from ads. Just from the settings in the ads, never mind the creative, just from the actual settings and the way that you're doing your sales process for the leads that come outside of area. So in summary, if you keep your ad spend the same and make these changes to targeting area and your sales process of people who are typically further than you would have serviced, you can actually potentially double your revenue, right? If I'm spending £50 a day and getting one lead, whatever my conversion rate is, if I double the leads coming in from the top of the funnel, I'm gonna double my sales down here. So I've doubled my revenue from inbound leads, just like that. And then you're also spreading your tentacles across the rest of the country, potentially getting referrals in places you weren't otherwise getting them. So that's it for today's video. Try and implement that if you're gonna do anything else, and you'll find that it's gonna make a very big difference. So let us know if you tried it and it's worked. You can put it in the comment if you like. Let us know that it did actually work. It would be interesting to see how many people are taking action. And there'll be more videos like this in the future, just giving free value up front. So potentially subscribe if you're considering watching the rest of them.